Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Anyone else? Nightwalk. It clears your mind so much it's unbelievable. Everything becomes so clear and conscious, which enables you to solve complex questions, issues that have been plaguing your existence. Got a crisis going on in your life? Get walking. Need a reason to live? Bathe in the light of the moon.
I once was incredibly scared of death and of the thought of not knowing what happens after that. So I went on a night walk with a friend. We were going to a music show, and I thought that distracting me could really help. My friend went inside of a shop for a second, and I stayed outside. I was really nervous and couldn't think about anything else but death. I started staring at a building, and the moon was directly above said building, and I started feeling relief. These words just popped in my mind, out of nowhere. There has to be something else. I just started smiling, and I felt like the biggest weight ever was just lifted from my shoulders.
Be out walking at night during winter, depressed, so I wanted a night walk. Meet a weird old man on skis on the road. It's 3 a.m., so I wonder why he's out so late. He stops me and starts talking. He's really friendly. Says a lot of weird stuff. Talks about how China will become the world's ruling superpower. Then asks if it's possible to follow a road in a direction to another city. The city he mentioned is really far away. Walking there on skis would have to take all night and much of the day at least. I say, I don't know. He thanks me anyway and starts walking, then stops and asks why I'm out so late and shouldn't I go to school tomorrow. I tell him I'm out of it at the moment. He talks some more, finishes off with, I was just down at the newspaper for an interview before I ran into you. Then takes off. Probably doesn't sound scary at all, but there's no way he could have been since no one is there in the middle of the night, and it chilled me to the bone.
Be me, 20-year-old art friend with no friends. Go on long night walks to get out of the house and clear my head every night. Usually just circle my neighborhood and rest to smoke a cigarette at a nifty, secluded spot for maximum comfy. One winter night, I go out like normal, but about halfway through I start developing the feeling that someone is nearby and or watching me. Double time, because I want to be alone. See a human-like shadow in my peripherals, nafam.jpg. Ditch my usual path and split to a long grassy area between my neighborhood and the one next to it. Walking along and checking my 6 to see if I'm just being paranoid. Shadowy hooded blackness approaching about 25 feet behind me. Proceed to panic. Nowhere to run, can't jump any fences because all the neighbors have guns and mean dogs. Of W, Texas. Turn around and start walking back. As I approach this person, I'm mentally preparing myself to pull out my cheap $10 pocket knife and ready to slice. Get closer, heart is pounding. I start to make out a face in the shadow. Female voice asks,
Hey, have you got a cigarette?
It's just some chick. I give her a cigarette because she was actually kinda pretty. Black hair, pale skin, thin, maybe 5'6". I light it for her and she deeply inhales. Exhales into my face. Suddenly feel really dizzy, not the nervous kind either, more like I'm definitely about to pass out dizzy. Knees collapse. She kneels down and whispers,
Sleep.
Pass out. Wake up the next afternoon, feeling really sore. I thought it was just a crazy dream, counted my cigarettes. This definitely happened. I posted this in a Greentext thread about a week after it happened, and some anons pointed out that I might have been assaulted. Still not sure about that, since she was attractive and I haven't bothered to get checked. Also forgot to mention that I woke up in my bed and not in a ditch somewhere, which was pretty cool.
Living in the Pacific Northwest early 2010s. Tons of beautiful nature, loved it, but work eventually took me elsewhere. August 2011. Buddy from work's brother is in town, knows I love camping and invites me along with his wife and brother. Holiday on Monday, so we have 3 days, leave really early Saturday morning. About an hour northeast of Seattle, so not too far from civilization, but completely isolated in a huge national forest. Arrive while the sun is just about risen, hell yeah. Plenty of time to get set up. Eagle Scout as a teenager, so I'm totally in my element, get the site cleared and the 3 tents set up. Start a fire around noon, not cold, but we want maximum coziness, you know. Hanging around the fire, talking, Buddy and his wife are a little ways out looking for wood and skipping stones by a pond about 100 yards away. Day goes on fine. I go and see if I can catch some fish for dinner. No luck, we brought food anyway. We eat, night winds down, Buddy's brother heads to sleep early, so it's 3 of us by the fire. I head out for a night walk while he and his wife stay by the fire. Head down to the pond where Buddy and his wife were, and I tried fishing previously and look up at the stars. Goddamn beautiful. Taking in the scenery and kind of just surveying the surrounding tree line. Not looking for anything in particular. Just getting my bearings out of habit, I guess. Noticed the glow of a fire through the tree line on the other side of the lake to the left. Didn't notice or see any activity while I was fishing earlier, so figured these people got in way later than us. Mental note that we have company, not out of fear or worry, just good to know there are other people out here. Make my way along the pond to the right, so opposite the fire I've just noticed. Taking my time and thinking about life and work and all that boring stuff. Looking back to our campsite, Buddy and his wife aren't around the fire, so I figure they've gone to sleep. Look back at the fire past the tree line and notice someone standing at the edge of the pond like I am. Give him a wave as he's a fellow Nightwalk connoisseur. Hard to tell exactly, but he holds up both hands, stretching his fingers out like he's making sure he has 10 fingers. Alright, weird, but who gives a damn? Make my way back to camp. Can hear Buddy and his wife talking in their tent, so I say goodnight. Sleep. Wake up later than I'd have liked to the next morning. Buddy's brother made breakfast already, so I eat. Decide to go pay a visit to Mr. 10 Fingers and whoever else he's camping with to say hello, and see if any of them want to join me in fishing. Head over to where I saw the fire, greeted by a girl in her late teens. Girl looks a little disheveled and kind of dirty, probably out here drinking and got a little rough last night.
Hello?
Hey there, saw a friend of yours last night. You guys must have got in after the sun set, huh?
Oh no, we've been out here for a while.
Well, right on. Anyway, listen. I was going to have another go at catching some lunch. Didn't have much luck yesterday. Was wondering if any of you want to come along.
I don't think so. We've got plenty to eat with us.
That's all right. If you or anybody else changes their mind, you know where to find me, haha.
We do.
Sounded weird, but I assume she's hungover, so I take off and head back to our camp. Grab my pole and my bag from my tent.
Making friends, Anon?
My buddy says. You know me. Figured I could find someone who actually knows how to fish, I said. Head down to the pond, spend 2 hours and catch a few. Head back to camp to cook them for lunch. Eat lunch, day goes on, eat dinner, we all have some drinks and head to our tents to sleep. Middle of night, I hear some rustling outside of my tent at the edge of our camp to my right. Figure someone is taking a piss, hear rustling to my left. Kinda spooked since I wasn't expecting another source of sound, but it's probably just a little animal, along with whoever is pissing. Faint whispers from 2 voices to my right, rustling still coming from the left. That's nobody from our site. Lay still and try to make out what the voices are whispering about.
How many?
Mumbling.
3 or 4, I think the one in that one came by and talked to her earlier.
More mumbling. Tilt my head up and backwards so I'm effectively looking behind me towards the middle of our site. Figure in front of the dying fire, shuffling around and looking like it's just watching my tent. Screw that. Moves a bit closer to my tent and I hear something brush and bend my tent. Holding my breath at this point out of both fear and the want to stay quiet. Even more mumbling from whoever is out there. The one near my tent eventually walks away and I hear the others walk with him. Keep my eyes peeled looking for a shadow or something and listen for another half an hour. Eventually fall back asleep. Remember what happened the second I open my eyes. Get out of my tent up before everyone else. 2 handprints on the side of my tent, not blood or anything, but dark green like mashed up leaves and dirt to form a paste. Thoroughly freaked out at this point. First, the weird gesture from the guy at the lake and now some cryptic handprints on my tent. Others get up while I'm sitting by a fresh fire drinking coffee and staring at the prints.
Morning, Anon. I was thinking we would pack up and try to leave by sunset.
Notice my gaze and they follow where I'm looking.
What the hell is that?
You tell me. 4 of us pondered on it, assuming it was the girl and her friends I was talking to the day prior.
Let's go tell them to leave us alone.
Buddy's brother says,
"We're leaving today, who cares? They're just some drunk kids."
Buddy's wife chimes in. Either way, it's not very neighborly to wander into someone else's camp in the middle of the night, I said.
Let's just tell them it wasn't cool. Maybe they'll learn a lesson and then they can go back to drinking.
Start the walk over there only 10 minutes from our site and pat my pocket to double check for my knife. We're all ready to give them a stern talking to. Eventually, the four of us are standing around looking for them and notice their fire pit surrounded by stones. They've been here for much, much longer than us. Multiple tents with absolutely zero activity. Hey, anybody around? Still nothing. Walk a bit further past their tents to see if they're hanging out in the woods. Nobody there. Head down to the pond, maybe they're swimming. Nobody at the pond. Figure screw it, Buddy's wife was right, we're leaving later anyway, so who cares, punk kids will be punk kids. Head back to our camp along the edge of the pond.
Who's that?
My buddy says and points across the pond to our left. So directly across from where the kids are camping and to the right of our campsite. Two guys. One looks late, teens like the girl. The other is our age, early 30s. The four of us are standing there just looking at them. They both do the hand thing like they have a gun pointed at them and they're surrendering their hands up. You get the idea. What the hell, man?
Is that them?
How the hell should I know? I only talked to some girl. Both guys turn around and head into the tree line. General uneasiness between the four of us.
Let's just go pack up and leave.
We pick up our pace, only a few minutes to our camp. Make it to our camp and all of our stuff is tossed and tents trashed, food and dishes scattered all over the ground. Clothes thrown on branches. Windshield of my buddy's car has a nice crack in it. Somehow not shattered.
We should get the hell out of here.
Grab what we can, leave the tents and food. Broke a major scout rule there. Throw our stuff in the trunk, get in and head out and driving along the dirt path to the access road. Buddy's wife is really freaking out at this point, can't blame her, but it's not like any of us got hurt. Close to the access road and I look out the window. Same girl I talked to and another guy I haven't seen are standing in the trees watching us leave. Don't want to further spook anyone, so I keep my mouth shut, but I remember my eyes going wide. Girl does the hands thing, the guy she's with just pushes her arms down like she shouldn't do that. We make it to the access road and eventually the highway, head back to the city and that's it. Sorry there's no major ending, maybe it was just some kids playing around or maybe it was something weirder. A few months after it happened, I was thinking about the way the girl was talking. Having plenty of food, being out there for a while and knowing where to find me, it's freaky. No idea what was up with the hands either, like it was some kind of calling card. Anyway, thankfully I don't live anywhere near a forest anymore. I'm not too keen on camping anymore and haven't been since.
Okay, X. I've already posted this story here a week after it ended. I got no answers then, so I'll just post it again. Be first week of November. Be frequent R9K user. Starting to lurk X from time to time at that time too. Night walking comfy thread on R9K. Hey, seems comfy. I don't live in a criminal zone, so I could totally go around and take a walk. Live in the old Italic city center. Old walls run all around the city center. You can walk on them. Old city center is in a higher position in respect to the new city. City walls also have 200 or so meters of grass field around, separating it from the newer city. The walls around the city are a nice place to walk. They're high up, and you can both see the field and the city. I'll night walk and see if anons are right. Maybe it really is comfy and calming. That night, I decided to leave my house. All is nice. I walk for a few minutes. I stop for a moment and lean against the bastion to look at a new city. Press my elbows on the brick railing. Feel something touching my arm. Inspect. It's a black and red beaded abandoned rosary. It was dark, but I could see the colors were okay-ish. The cross is one of those edgy, gothic-like crosses. Dread feeling and spooks. I drop it there instantly. I ask myself, how did I end up touching that thing in 4.5 kilometers of walling? X comes to mind. Feel even more spooked. Walk back home as quickly as possible. I slept really bad that night. But to be fair, it could have been the cold I caught while walking. It was spooky. When I first posted it here, I also asked what was the best thing to do. Leave it there or take it. I was still in time to actually go there and take it. I posted the whole thing after a couple of days. I did not take it. Now I think it's not there anymore. I hope so. I didn't return there to check. If it's still there, I would be extra scared. Pick related, not the same spot of the walls, to give a general idea on how I was positioned, where the thing was.
Working as a door-to-door salesperson. The manager is autistic and greedy. He won't pick us up in the company van until 9 p.m. Job is essentially a night walk after 7 since most people stop answering the door by then. Understandable. The supervisor asks me to walk with a new pawn. Trainee to keep her company at night. Sure. She told me she quit her previous job because the manager didn't want to give her a raise. Surprised she actually knocks on doors at night. Most of us just hang out till the van arrives. Whatever, I'm not working, just watching her. One house in particular has a crazy dude in it. He doesn't answer the door. As soon as we leave through his gate and close it on our way out, he releases 2 big dogs. If I had not closed the gate door, oh great. The new girl starts shouting, saying she would have sued if bitten. A guy is creeping by his door's shadow. He turns on his porch lights. He has a gun. What do you want? It's some old guy. TFW almost died because I interrupted some grandpa's early nap. The new girl calls the supervisor scared. Told her to keep working and just avoid that particular street.
I used to walk every night, but once I wandered to a nearby forest that had no lights and barely even a safe path. I thought the moon or something would light the way, but it was just pitch black. I used my phone's flashlight to get out of the forest. I turned around a curve and saw a man crouching on the side of the path. Once he noticed me, he started to run away. I ran as fast as I could the other way, keeping my flashlight off as often as I could. Scared the shit out of me. Never went night walking again.
I'm quite skeptical about anything aliens, but I had an experience several months ago that I never got closure on. Be on a night walk with my family one cool autumn evening. We're just musing about random things, goofing off around our neighborhood. It's maybe about 9 in the evening and the sun is long gone. Somehow get on the topic of astronomy in our conversation. We return back to our home after 45 minutes or so out on the block. We don't yet return inside, instead opting to do some amateur stargazing beside our neighbor's vegetable garden on the sidewalk, talking about constellations, looking for planets, pointing out the North Star, etc. The sky is such a strange thing. We continue musing about things to the droning chirp of the evening desert crickets, the only sound apparent besides the dull droning of a nearby busy street adjacent the neighborhood, talking vaguely about aliens for some reason, though I don't really remember the conversation now, and as if on cue. Guys, what is that? I turn around to see my dad with his gaze locked up in the southern skies. I follow his gaze. Orbs. Dimly glowing red orbs, similar to what's in the picture, rising slowly from the horizon on a slightly curved trajectory. My heart begins to thump in my chest. They're rising slowly, maybe a couple of degrees in the sky per second. They continue to appear from behind the row of houses that set the backdrop. At the onset, maybe 8 or 9. More continue to rise. By now, me and my whole family are transfixed by the sight. My mother begins walking down the street towards them. They're in a formation, a sort of parallelogram, but more of them appear from behind the horizon. The ones at highest altitude suddenly disappear, at maybe between 15 to 20 degrees into the sky. As they progress in their ascending parade, upon reaching this same altitude, all of the orbs vanish. We walk down the street closer and closer to the site. It's been about 2 minutes since we first spotted these things, and as they continue to climb into the sky, they increase in number, and their formations morph into various shapes. A triangle, a trapezoid, another triangle, and so on. Me and my dad pull out our phones and begin to take pictures as best we can in the dim suburban light. If anyone is interested, I should still have these pictures. I could see if I could try to recover them, but it's been a while since this event took place. This whole thing continues unabated for perhaps 10 or so minutes. We mostly gaze in silence, occasionally mentioning wayward guesses to each other as to what these strange lights might be. The hypothesis we eventually settle on is that they're some kind of fired balloons, as they seem to all follow the same direction in the sky and vanish from the black sky at the same altitude. Their numbers begin to diminish, and strangely, their formations grow erratic and disjoined with the passage of the minutes. Eventually, we watch the last few of them slowly fade into the night sky. We return to our house and spend the evening speculating about the nature of these objects. Never find any news release about any objects in the sky in our town. Never see it again. Never hear about it from anyone else around the area. Occurred at a random time on a random day. So celebratory fire balloons seem strange to us. I still wonder what it was that we saw on that night.
I live in New York City, a real cesspool, but near me there's a great wooded park. It's the closest thing we have to a real forest. Some years back there was a Chris Chan who'd stalked the woods, and apparently before him there was a murderer in them. I like going there late at night though. I'm all alone and it's so serene. Sometimes I get chicken wings from 7-Eleven and a small bottle of vodka from the liquor store.
Be about 13. Go on a night walk with my cousin. He's about 18 and is more like a brother than a cousin. It's 3 a.m. in a small Scottish town. You might see 1 or 2 people getting ready for work or delivery lorries on their rounds. You never see anyone else. Walk past an alleyway next to a shop in a shitty neighborhood. Group of Neds. Yanks Google it. Don't think you guys have really got a similar group. Bit weird seeing as there's no visible booze or drugs. At least a dozen of them. They have a ball, but they don't seem to be playing any particular game. As we walk past, they ask if we want a game of 1 bounce. I still don't know what that is. We're too sleep-deprived and laughing under our breath to reply properly, so we quietly decline and keep walking. A couple of minutes later, my cousin stops, turns to me, and it suddenly hits that what we just saw was weird as hell. It hits us that we didn't recognize any of them either. A few minutes after that, we're walking the other way down the same street. I can't remember what they said that time, but it implied that they didn't recognize us either. Cousin hatches a genius plan for evening's entertainment. Keep walking up and down the street and see what reaction we get each time. Do this at least twice more, and go round to the other side of the alleyway too. Reactions vary from friendly invitations to join them, to laughing at us for no reason, to anger, to ignoring us. The last time we walk past, one of them gets angry and shouts a string of incomprehensible nonsense at us. Only thing we're able to pick up is the phrase "Yorgi Bear," chanted a few times in a sort of football chant way. This was my cousin's older brother's nickname at school. Realize they've mistaken my cousin for his brother. After walking back and forth for at least 45 minutes, we've been able to get a pretty good look at the group. Still don't recognize any of them. Small town, so that's weird. Able to see that they're all pretty young though, like young enough to have not gone to school with my cousin's brother. They keep shouting, so we leave. On the way home, we conclude that we have encountered the inbred bastard offspring of the Neds that my cousin's brother was at school with. And for some reason, they have been told the legend of Yorgi Bear by their parents. It must be a mass gathering that only happens at 3 a.m. on certain nights. Pretty sure we went home and played Fallout. Nothing else happened. It was a funny, bordering on eerie experience more than anything else. We still laugh about it today.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentexts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.
There's also a Rumble archive as a backup.